For many people, ideas about multiverses, parallel worlds, and alternative realities still sound suspiciously mystical, esoteric, or simply unserious. They seem too far removed from ordinary life, too detached from common sense, too close to dreams and not close enough to science. But there is another way to approach this whole question, and it is much simpler, more human, and far more enjoyable. That way is fantasy. Fantasy is not merely escapism, nor is it just childish entertainment about dragons, elves, and magic swords. Fantasy is one of the most powerful cultural forms through which people explore the possibility that reality may be larger than immediate everyday experience. It allows us to enter other worlds, travel through imaginary geographies, encounter peoples who never existed historically, witness invented wars, ancient prophecies, strange religions, hidden kingdoms, impossible creatures, and at the same time follow very human stories about friendship, loyalty, courage, betrayal, sacrifice, and love. That is why good fantasy feels so alive. It does not simply entertain. It creates an alternative reality in which the human being can look at their own world from a new angle. This is one reason why fantasy literature has such enduring force. A masterpiece like Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit is not remembered simply because it contains hobbits, rings, or battles. It is remembered because the invented world feels internally complete. It has geography, history, genealogy, languages, myths, songs, memory, and moral tension. It feels inhabited. That is what separates true fantasy, world building, from cheap decoration. A real fantasy world has weight. It has atmosphere. It carries time inside it. And this is not limited to Tolkien alone. Almost every country has authors who create their own fantasy universes, and often the most interesting among them are precisely those who do not merely imitate standard Western medieval forms, but weave in native motifs, local folklore, historical memory, regional symbols, myths, and linguistic color. That is what makes fantasy literature not only entertaining, but culturally rich. When a writer brings into fantasy the spirit of their own land, the result often feels more authentic and more alive than imported formulas copied from elsewhere. This is why fantasy is much more than invented scenery. It is a laboratory of imagination where peoples test identities, fears, ideals, and possibilities. Through fantasy, a culture can remember itself, reinvent itself, or project itself into worlds that never existed, yet somehow feel deeply familiar. Modern cinema and television strengthen this even further. When high-quality fantasy books are adapted to the screen with strong direction, visual imagination, music, and modern special effects, the result can become emotionally overwhelming. And not because special effects alone are impressive, although they can be. The real power lies in combination: image, story, atmosphere, character, myth, and emotional scale. When that works, fantasy becomes not just spectacle, but real enchantment. And then there are games. Tabletop role-playing games, strategy games, card systems, and other fantasy-based formats expand these universes even more. They allow people not just to read or watch, but to participate. A person no longer simply observes a fantasy world. They begin to inhabit it, shape it, test choices inside it, and improvise within it. This makes fantasy interactive in a way few genres can match. The same happens socially. Fantasy communities are often remarkably strong. Around fantasy literature, films, and games, people do not just gather as consumers. They form subcultures, friendships, festivals, conventions, fan communities, and creative circles. They make costumes, write fan fiction, invent alternative endings, continue unfinished storylines, and sometimes transform themselves entirely for a time into beloved characters. This is not trivial. It shows how powerful human imagination really is when given a world worth entering. At first glance, someone might dismiss this as mere play. But that would be shallow. Because through fantasy, people do something deeply human. They explore realities beyond the visible one. They train imagination, empathy, symbolic thinking, memory, and wonder. They recover a childlike but not childish ability to believe that existence contains more than immediate utility. In a world increasingly narrowed by algorithms, stress, politics, and economic pressure, fantasy reopens the horizon. It reminds us that reality is not only what is practical, it is also what is possible. And maybe that is why fantasy matters so much now. It gives people a second space in which to breathe. Not because they want to abandon reality forever, but because they want to return to it with refreshed imagination. Sometimes another world helps us see this world more clearly.